Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. It's Wednesday, and welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's the day after a council meeting at the circus. So we have a whole bunch of things to talk about. Our illustrious city council and the 1950s doo-wop group, Sam and the Sellouts. The sellout arm of that group was again singing the song, "Money, money, more money. Let's spend more money." And so they voted to spend a whole bunch of money on computers that are obsolete and will be obsolete when we get them. And even though some tech guy got up and basically said it wasn't the right way to do business, but of course Fall River does business the wrong way, and then the individual, I guess, got up and kind of misrepresented fact, and CJ can get into that a little bit more detail since he's more tech savvy than I am. I just use a thing as a word processor, but the fact is that, and they spent money on barrels, and they're spending money, and they got a whole bunch of things. They actually had so many loan orders that they had to send it in two parts, but I guess they held some of them in abeyance because they didn't want to really inundate everything. And, it's really, this is it, people. I mean, if this doesn't rub your nose in the fact that they don't care about you, they have a total disregard for what anybody thinks in this city. Well, I don't know what else they've got to do. The fact is that they continue to spend money, and they waste it. I mean, we're going to buy barrels for yard waste? Why? We may be privatized next year or the year after. So what are we going to do with the barrels? Use them as lawn ornaments? I don't know. Kenny Pacheco was running around like the knight in shining armor saying, no, they're going to have to use those barrels because I'm not going to allow the city to become dirty. Have you driven around, Kenny? The city's mess. And not only that, you can't dictate to a private entity how they do business. As much as you think you can, you can't. And, it's just insulting. I made a presentation last night that talked about how the Fall River retirement system has gone from 80% funded to 40% thanks to the city. And since 2002, when we were 80% funded, to today, where we're about 40% funded, I made a comparison with New Bedford, and Fall River has put in almost $89 million less than New Bedford, and we wonder why. And the contract they made with those employees who spent tens of thousands of years working for this city, 30, 40 years of work, and they had a contract and a retirement system. I guess they care about as much about that contract as they did about the health care that these people gave up pay raises and negotiated and in good faith took those jobs and basically took the jobs because of the health care and the retirement. And, I made it clear that, number one, they're going to blame the employees for the retirement system, and I proved yesterday it's the city. And secondly, how did we get here? We got here with a total disregard for any kind of fiscal accountability. I mean, all we do is steal money from the workers and the taxpayers and continue to spend. They actually had Emerald Gaudette walking around with flyers promoting a 2.5 override. That's a great idea, Earl. Let's give more money to the idiots that can't spend money. That's a great idea. Break it down and tell them how little it's going to cost for you to give them more money. And you know something? I got a better idea, Earl. Why don't we override 2.5 for the, just every year override it and give these idiots more money to blow? Because, I mean, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. I made the point that the budget that these 6 idiots voted on was not accurate. Number one, The city now wants to defer its payment to the retirement fund 2 months, and that 2-month delay, I asked for an impact study, will add $600,000 to what the city has to pay into the fund. So is that $600,000 reflected in the budget? No. The $25 million figure was in the budget, not the $26 million budget. So that wasn't in the budget they voted on, so it wasn't accurate. And then the $146,000 that was put in the employer account rather than the employee account, against the law, by the way, that was shown as city money, and I made that point. But did any counselor go, okay, maybe we should stop spending money until we investigate the budget? No. That's why it's going to take complaints and city outrage to maybe ultimately get a forensic audit. But the only real way to get rid of this problem is to cut the head off the snake, or the 6 heads off the snake. The 6 people who voted for the budget should be eliminated from the city council. It's an outrage. It's an insult to the citizens of Fall River. And I mean, you know, it's bad enough that in the economic state we're in, that we are in a position where we may have to delay some things that are really necessary, like you have to in your own home. I have to maybe put off that roof another few months because I don't have the money. As much as I need it, I'm going to have to patch it because I can't afford it. Well, the city never has that problem. And that's bad enough. When we have to put off necessary projects, but now when we spend money on ridiculous computers that are obsolete, and we're going to spend how much, CJ? CJ, it's your turn. I'm done ranting, so for now.
$500,000.
$500,000. That's just a drop in the bucket.
Drop in the bucket. $508,000.
Yeah.
Now, and the gentleman who, has been awarded this contract, Kathy Ann Viveris said very clearly, oh, no. He's just a consultant for EMC, which is a state purchasing, authorized state purchaser or vendor. And I thought that was interesting because, yeah, EMC is, so is HP. And guess what? Kathy Ann said they're going to buy from both of them. But this guy, Jesse Cabral, from Micro Solution Technology Incorporated, is a consultant to the city. He says, and I get called in to fix the computers all the time because these things are old and da-da-da-da, et cetera, et cetera. Yet, the city is giving away these computers for free to nonprofit organizations as non-essential equipment, that it's dilapidated already. It's outlived its lifespan, which we knew. But this gentleman went on to say that he has gotten licensure for Windows 10, which is the current operating system. Now, that's wonderful. But to turn around and say, oh, and that means that you can cover Windows 7 and 8 with that license. No, you can't. Licenses are not backwards compatible or backwards applicable, nor are they forward. When Microsoft comes out with Microsoft Office 365, the license that you had for Microsoft Office 2013 or 2010 doesn't move forward. You have to buy a new license. And the license for 365 can't be used on 2010 or 2013. That's how business is done in the software world. So we're telling the city, oh no, it's going to be that you can use these operating systems too. Oh, and by the way, you got to pay us $50,000 to train you to use these operating systems. Then they said, oh no, it's not training for that, it's training for Munis. Because now with the new operating system, you'll have all these new functions and all these new features. Okay.
Munis.
Yeah.
There's a manual for that. The state will give you the training.
Well, guess what? They don't do that because I guess they know that the people of Fall River can't read. I don't know.
Well, or maybe one of their friends can't make money.
Exactly.
Maybe that might be it because, it's the state changes reporting systems all the time. I mean, when the fire department went from paper reporting to computer-generated reporting, I mean, we didn't have to hire a consultant. They had a manual. It's.
But that's what I'm saying. They think that people can't read. All right, and this is the big problem.
No,
Now,
they
the other
think,
thing-
you know what it is, CJ? Maybe because he's micro solutions, he should have been macro solutions, and maybe he'd be able to figure it out. But listen, let's get back to our original show with the original thought. Follow the money.
Right.
It's all about people making money, and who's making the money? All the people that are handing out the let's override 2.5 when they own half the South End.
Right.
That they got for dirt. Because they got their buddy to buy the land for nothing, and then he rolled it over to him a year later or 6 months later while he was on the council. You know, yeah, of course. You know, I don't mind paying taxes. I'm a millionaire, and I keep making money off the city. Or the real estate guys who go, I love to pay taxes. I love it. I love taxes. I pay $100,000 in taxes, and I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, because I got all kinds of Section 8 housing, and every time I pay $100,000 in taxes, I give some state rep, and they jack up the state rents, and I'm making more money.
Exactly.
And I'm making, it's worth $100,000 in taxes to make $10 million. And the 1%ers, and don't think that we don't have 1%ers in this city. They may not be the 1%ers economically, on a national level, but in Fall River, they are a 1%. Look at the people who are talking about, we have to pay more taxes. I love taxes. We should be proud to pay taxes, and blah, 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 and look at their incomes. Look at their incomes. Ask them for a W-2 form. Ask them for their total asset package. And find me one working class stiff that's in that group. Just one. That's all I ask. Because everybody I hear, when Emerald tried to hand me that paper, I said, give it to somebody who actually doesn't know you, Earl. And it's like 2.5 override. Your solution to the city's financial problems is not getting our financial house in order and controlling spending. Your solution is to give them more money to misspend. So, this is the whole problem. And that's why the people in the city have to pay attention, get educated, and listen to what's going on. I mean, even Jordan Sylvia made a point, and he got into a confrontation as usual. But the fact is, he did make a valid point. He talked about enterprise funds and how it shouldn't affect fire and police and threats. He's right. But then the council president said, oh, well, it's because they weren't sustainable before. They weren't self-sufficient. Well, that's what they're supposed to be. That's what they're supposed to be, people. When they established enterprise funds, they were supposed to be entities. And if the entity in DCM can't generate enough funds to sustain itself, it's time to bring the head of DCM in front of the council and ask him why he can't run his department efficiently enough to sustain itself, because that's the system you created. That's the system you created. We didn't create this system. You're the guys that created the enterprise funds. And the enterprise funds were created for a specific reason, to make these entities and self-sustaining. And if you're not sustaining it, you've got to go to, you can't rob Peter to pay Paul, but that's government. They change the rules all the time. It's like emergency preamble. Mike Mioza made a very good point. It violated the charter. But Ray, part of the Sam sellouts, immediately jumped and said, Corporation Council has said it is an emergency. Well, Corporation Council is rendering an opinion, and that opinion is like anal sphincters. Everyone has one, and some are better than others, but it's still merely an opinion. And it should have been tabled, but no. The obsequious six immediately had to get these. It was an emergency because the city wants your money. That made it an emergency. It wasn't about, well, how can it be an emergency? How long have we been bantering this around, CJ? They had hearings in front of the Public Health Committee, They've been talking about it at the council ad nauseum, ad infinitum. We've had people go, I'm sick and tired of hearing about the purple bag. Stop talking about them. But so, I mean, how can this be an emergency? But what the emergency is we have to be able to pick the pockets of the people.
Now, here's the kicker. Now, and this is the part that I love. The majority of people in Fall River don't want a sanitation fee. The majority of people in Fall River don't want purple bags. And so the majority of people go to hell because you don't matter. But this was an emergency because we got to do everything together. We can't piecemeal it. And it was a violation of the charter. Well, it's not a violation of the charter, according to Judge Macy, former Judge Macy, now Corporate Counsel Macy, who says, oh no, this would be classified as emergency because we have to collect this money. And 3 people of the council voted down the emergency preamble. But then one of those people stepped forward and said, now that I voted down the emergency preamble, can I still vote for the ordinance? I was like, you gotta be kidding me. You're saying in one statement that you don't support it, and then in the other statement you're saying, okay, I'm gonna vote for it. Because it passed by 9. Because nobody wanted to say we're not gonna give you an abatement on the fee. Which I can understand that, because that would definitely be political suicide. But stand by your convictions. If you don't support this at all, you don't support it.
Well, I think you hit it on the head, CJ. It was a political decision, a political vote, rather than a vote of conscience. Because, look, I mean, if you take a vote and you truly are opposed to this and you vote against it, and you don't want this as an emergency preamble, and you want dialogue, and you want this thing to be handled, then you vote against it, regardless. But you clarify your vote by saying, I'm not voting against the abatement. I'm voting for it because I'm fundamentally opposed to this entire process, the way it began, the way it's gone forward, and everything that's happened in between. And that's what's problematic with our city council. It's like nothing matters to them. Statistics, facts, anything. They're oblivious. And that's why I said at last night's meeting, they are going to be held accountable, because in my complaint to the Attorney General about the retirement system and the healthcare system, I am going to say, and I said it yesterday, they are fiduciaries by law. Because it's their money. They're the people who approve these expenditures. And by underfunding and voting for the underfunding of the retirement system, they created these problems. By voting for a budget that wasn't accurate and not addressing that issue now, when it's been brought to their attention, they are violating their fundamental fiduciary duty to act in the best interest of the people of Fall River. And they don't care. It's like, who cares if these things are obsolete? This guy's making money. Micro, macro boy, whatever. He's making money. Who cares about it? And who knows? Maybe if we do pass all these ordinances, they can give Joe Macy enough money to buy socks. Because, I mean, he appeared at the council meeting yesterday with his penny loafers and no socks. I got to tell you, Joe, it's not 1960 anymore. You don't go to the city council meeting with no socks and penny loafers, unless you're going to the sock hop, the 50 sock hop after the thing, So, I mean, it's elitists. That's the way yuppies dress. Next thing, the uniform of the day for the council meeting will be boat shoes or something like that, because that's another vestige from that bygone era. But we have this fundamental. This fundamental attitude of superiority that really irritates me, because, I mean, Jordan Sylvia again got into it, but he also said that Lou Pacheco laughs at him all the time, and he was laughing at him last night. And, I mean, he has his issues with the council president and with the council, and that's a matter of parliamentary procedure, and that's up to them to deal with. If I was the chairman and, I would handle it the way I felt was best. Joe Camara is doing it his feels best. I may not agree it's the best way to handle it. But the fact is that's a separate issue. But the issue is, what is title? I forgot already. Lupichico. I mean, I know he's the emperor, but what's his official title? Is he
Chief of Staff.
Chief of Staff. Okay, I thought it was like. I know they wanted to name him Chief Operating Officer or left hand of God or something like that. But I mean, I really, it really irritates me when he laughs at people. Like the time he laughed at the person that was in Citizens Input that was speaking broken English. You know, the fact is that these people are elitists. You know, Joe Macy thinks because he's a judge that he craps ice cream. Well, he doesn't. You know, judges aren't elected in the state of Massachusetts. They're appointed. And most of the time they're appointed because they're political ass kisses. And that's the reality. If you look at all the judges from Fall River, they got appointed by mayors who they worked for. And I can name them all. So they're not there because they're all Supreme Court justice level judges. They're there because they're politically connected, and that's one of the fundamental problems we have in Massachusetts, that there are, judges, as far as I'm concerned, it's only my opinion, they should be elected like they are in some states, because then if they don't listen to the will of the people, they get thrown out. If they allow people that had 75 drunken driving charges to run somebody over and kill them and give them like a 3-month suspension of their license, they're out of office. When they allow criminals to walk the streets that should be incarcerated, they're gone. But that's the problem. We have this attitude that they're superior, and they laugh at people. And my father told me a long time ago, everybody puts their pants on the same way, one leg at a time. And if a person's a dishwasher or he's some captain of industry, if they put in an honest day's work for an honest day's wage, they deserve some respect. And those people that are going up there are citizens of this city. And those people that are laughing are their employees. And I think it's time for them to get off their high horse and remember that. Because it's election time, and it's like give everybody a commendation, hug everybody, kiss everybody, make speeches, take selfies in front of the council chamber and the well, throw bouquets at everybody, give out hot dogs and chow mein sandwiches, and let's make everybody forget about what's really happening. So let's remember what happened last night. They voted to spend over $500,000 on obsolete computers. What was the price tag on a barrel? $6.5 million?
Well, they actually were attempting to bond for $1 million, $900,000. Now, the figures that I had run showed that it would only cost about $600,000 for the barrels. So the big question that came up, which I had put the bug in several people's ears, because when I bring it up, I'm just being negative, as we know.
Yeah.
Where's the other $300,000 going?
It's the cushion.
Yeah, of course.
Remember the cushions?
Yes,
they talked about the
believe
cushions.
me, I remember
they
the
have cushions
Right.
now. So that's $300 that they hide, which is another reason that we keep saying that word that I read the definition of, by the way, from the definition I got for a forensic study was from Black's Law Dictionary, by the way. It's not my definition. It was from a law dictionary that says it's not criminal. That's the reason we need a forensic audit, because they don't even pretend that they're not hiding money. So the budget is a sham. $300 more than it needs, just like they just like they wanted what obscene amount for office furniture. It must have been made of gold.
Right.
It was like King Tut's tomb. Everything was gold. And Kathy Ann hid over $300,000 in another account, and that's been exposed, and it will be exposed again. And these are all factors in why I'm filing the complaint. And the reality is that, look, they just, they want more money, but they've got all kinds of money squirreled away, and they keep taking it out of the taxpayers' pockets and the employees' pockets. Why do you have to delay paying your retirement obligation 2 months when you voted for a budget that funded that?
And Chip, here's what gets me. The city likes to do business with tax dodgers, felons, and you know, every other scurrilous.
Isn't that a prerequisite to put the bid in? You have to be arrears in your taxes or be a felon.
I sent out an email yesterday in regards to this $508,000 that had the documents from the state on MST's status, because in 2012 they were removed from the corporate listings. Their charter was taken away and the corporation status was taken away. And 2 months after that, they got a release from the Department of Revenue saying that they're all set, but that this release does not release any liens that the Department of Revenue may hold. Now, that might be perfunctory, that might be indicative of what actually happened. But the statement that came out from him was, well, I failed to file the necessary annual reports and the $102 fee, and that's why they took away my corporation. You know, I do know that sometimes when you miss things, you know, you kind of say, but I also know the Secretary of State's office, when you miss something like that, they send you an email, they send you a letter, you know, they tell you. So for 3 years, you didn't look at that. So there was obviously something more to this. And then City Councilor Mike Miozas just turned around and says, is this the document that we're talking about? Is this the actual document? Because again, City Councilor Mike Miozas was the only person who actually generated a receipt saying that, yes, I received it. But I did one sneaky little move. I took those documents and laid them all out on their desks so they knew beforehand without my name on it, because if it had my name on it, they'd shred it. And the problem is that we cannot do business this way. We cannot do business this way. And we have to be sure that what the people want, I'm saying a swear here, what the people want, okay? This is a cuss word. I think this is also maybe, you know, a civil rights violation.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right, CJ. No, and that's exactly right. And we do have two classes of people. We have the haves and the have-nots, and all the people that are there saying, let's override 2.5, I love paying taxes, are the people who get things done for them. They get the variances, they get the TIFs, they get everything, they get the roads put in front of their new businesses within a day or two of purchasing. Yet last night at the council, we saw two poor taxpayers who have spent thousands of dollars on their property because the city won't address a flooding issue on their street. But I can guarantee you, if they were part of the major players and the 1%ers, they would have had the entire DPW committed there the day after the first time they got flooded, and it would have got handled. And I have a personal friend of mine who's got a lousy garage. And he's got antique cars. He's got an antique car. He bought a couple of antique cars. And he wanted to elevate the roof of the garage a few feet because he bought a lift so he could park one vehicle on top of another. And he called me up and said, it's an absolute nightmare. They want him to get architectural studies and all this other stuff. You know, and it's like they make everything difficult for the average taxpayer. And look at these poor people. They had pictures of, you know, but everybody said, oh, we're working on it. We're working on it. You know, Ray Mitchell, yeah, you know, I'm on that. A year and a half. The guy he spent $12,000 on something else and a couple of $1,000s on building a wall and mulch and this and gravel and.
But Chip,
it's appalling.
Yeah,
I mean, it's appalling.
But Chip, look at what the mayor says. Look at what corporate counsel says. Look at what the state says. If you want your rights, you got to sue for them. You got to spend the money, and that's bull. That's bull. It's time for the people to revolt. I can't believe it. I'm already getting aggravated.
Wow. But that's what we want. We want to stay angry. We want the people to remember. It's not about the hot dogs and the speeches in front of the council. It's about the people working for you.
That's right.
Your representatives being yours. Stay angry, and September's getting close.
Yes, it is. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Friday.